You are welcome to the Scholar Online class.
The Scholar School will establish our footprints on the sand of time. You can't afford to miss any bits of this class. Experience the difference.
Good day. You're welcome to another section of the Scholar Online class, and I'm your tutor for biology, Miss Fatima. And today we'll be looking at heredity and evolution, where we'll be looking at the meaning of heredity, we'll be looking at genetics, we'll be looking at variation in respect to heredity. We'll also be treating the types of variation, which are the morphological variation and physiological variation. Then lastly, we'll be looking at application of variation. First, we'll be looking at hereditary, and it is the transfer of characteristics, traits, features from one generation to the next. Now, we'll be looking at each terms, and the major one there is the traits. Traits are special characters, for example, which are the height, skin color, hair color, eye color, weight. Those are the traits. They are special characteristics, and they are transferred from one generation to the next. Now, genes are the functional unit of heredity that helps in transferring characteristics from the parents to the offspring. So what helps heredity to be possible are those genes. Every gene controls one or several particular characteristics features in every living organism. Now, moving forward to the genetics. Genetics is the branch and aspect of science that deals with the hereditary and variation of genes. Again, genetics is the branch and aspect of science that deals with the hereditary and variation. Also, it also deals with what? It deals with genes. In traits, there are two types of traits. We have the inherited traits and we have the acquired traits. Inherited traits are being passed from parents to offspring, while acquired traits are those features that what they are being developed. An example of inherited traits can be the color of the hair, the color of the skin. While an example of acquired traits can be muscle. The muscle was developed, it was not gotten from a particular parent to the offspring. It was the For an example, if I have a slim father and a slim mother, but when I check their offspring, the offspring is a male child looking muzzled. The skin color is they are both fair. The parents are both fair, and the child is also fair. But the child is now looking muzzled. That means the child has inherited the skin color from the parents, which is an inherited trait. But for the muzzle, it was an acquired trait because the child developed the muzzle by itself due to environmental situations. So those are the basic two types of traits: the inherited traits and the acquired traits. Moving forward, we'll be looking at variation. Now, first we have to define what variation means. And variation is defined as the visible morphological in terms of shape, size, and structure, and also physiological, which deals with the function of different parts of the body, differences among individuals, which could be inherited traits and acquired traits. So when it comes to variation, variation is defined as the visible morphological. When they say something morphological, we're talking about the shape, the size, and the structure, and also the physiological, which deals with the function of these parts, difference among individuals, which could be hereditary or acquired from the environment. Like I explained earlier, inherited traits and acquired traits. So when we're talking about variation, it's the difference between species that deals with their morphological differences, physiological differences, and also both inherited traits and acquired traits. Now, for variation, it depends on the mode of reproduction. Variation depends on the mode of reproduction. For asexual reproduction, same thing can be passed to the offspring. Why? Because we are just dealing with just one parent. So there is always less variation between asexual reproduction because we are dealing with just one parent. For sexual reproduction, we are dealing with two parents. So there's always an high rate of what? Variation between offspring because the parents are going to pass different genes. The father is going to pass 50% to the child, the mother is going to pass 50%. So that offspring has both 50-50 genes from each parent. That's why there's always a difference and they're not always having the same feature of the father because 50% of the mother is also in the offspring. For sexual reproduction, like I said earlier, we are doing with two parents through the process of recombination of DNA. So there's always high rates of variation between offsprings, because we are dealing with two parents whereby the father is going to give 50% and the mother is also going to give 50%. So the child is going to have a lot of variables because it's two parents. Now, for hereditary in respect to variation, it refers to the difference among individuals which can be passed from the parents to their offspring, and it arises because no two individuals inherit exactly the same set of characteristics from their parents except from identical twins. Any other difference is due to environmental factor. So that's why you always notice that it's always hard to tell the difference between a twin because they have the same set of characteristics. So that's for hereditary in terms of variation. Now, moving forward, we'll be looking at the two types of variation: the morphological variation and physiological variation. The first one I'll be treating is the physiological variation, and it deals with how individuals of the same species behave, react to conditions in their environment. Like I explained earlier, the physiological deals with the function of parts. So in this type of variation, it deals with how individuals of the same species behave, react to certain conditions in their environment and the functioning of their body. Now, it is also called discontinuous variation because it is not passed to the next offspring, and it can be easily be faded away in the generation of a particular species. Now, examples of physiological variation: we have behavior in terms of timid or brave. We have fingerprints. It can be arched, it can be loop, it can be old, and it can be compound. We also have difference in blood group, which can be either A, B, AB, or O. Also, ability to roll the tongue. Not everybody can roll the tongue. Even in the family of same species of, and they are also offspring. If a family can have like 4 or 5 offspring, and in the midst of those four, not all of them will be able to roll the tongue. Only selected people can do this. Now, also the ability to move the ear without moving the head is also an example of physiological variation. That means function of the body, part of the body. So it is also known as discontinuous variation because it might not be passed on to the next, and it is not common among all. I explained examples of discontinuous variation in man, where I said ability to roll the tongue, ability to move the ear without moving the head. Now we'll be looking at examples of discontinuous variation, also known as physiological variation, in plants. An example is color of the leaf, color of the flower, color of the fruit. Some orange in a particular tree can be bright yellow, while some will not be bright yellow. Those are examples of discontinuous variation. We also have color of the seed, shape of the fruit, and also the shape of the seed. Now, what are the advantages of this variation? It leads to competition among species. It also leads to the appearance of varieties of new species, because when a new species is coming up with a different thing entirely, it makes it more different, and it makes people to be inquisitive to discover more things that were not known before. Now, transmittable characteristics in human beings. That's what are the characteristics that can be transmitted from a particular parent to its offspring: the body stature or shape, it can shape of head, nose, and ear, size of the nose, head, and ear, color of the skin, hair, and eye. Now we'll be looking at transmittable characteristics in human beings, and these are characteristics that can be passed from the parent to the offspring. Number one, we have body stature or shape. We have shape of head, nose, and ear. We also have the shape of the nose, size of the nose, also size of the head. We have color of the skin, hair, and eye. We have characteristics of voice, either deep or tiny voice. That's why some offspring would take so many features exactly like that of their parents. It also includes intelligence. It can be passed from the parent to the offspring also. Height of man, ability to roll the tongue, color blindness is also a transmittable characteristic in human being. Then sickle cell anemia too is also a transmittable characteristics in human being. For transmittable characteristics in plants, these are characteristics that can be passed from the parent to the offspring. Number one, the height of the plants. That even if you take the seed of that particular plant and you plant it, by the time it's going to cultivate, it's going to mature, you will notice that it's almost as similar as that of the parent. The size and weight of the fruit, the size of the leaf, the taste of the fruit, the food content of the fruit, and also the lifespan or habitat of growth. These are characteristics that are transmittable from the parents to the offspring in plants also. Now moving forward to the second type of variation, which is morphological variation, and it deals with the physical appearance of individual. Morphological variation deals with the physical appearance of individual. That's why I said size, shape, and structure. Now, and it gives rise to the continuous variation. It's also known as continuous variation. Physiological is known as discontinuous variation, while morphological is known as continuous variation. It gives rise to continuous variation, which gradually changes in a population. Morphological variation gradually changes in a population. Examples include height of the body, weight of the individual, size of body parts. It changes because the parent can be robust and chubby, and the child can actually determine that, oh, I know I have this, but they can control it. So that's for morphological variation. Moving forward, we'll be looking at the application of variation in our environment, in our habitat. And the first one that is common is crime detection, because no two women has the same type of fingerprints, has the same DNA. So if there's a crime being committed somewhere, they can also just take the sample of any DNA found in that environment and use it to detect who exactly committed the crime, because even parents and offspring, they don't have the same DNA. So variation can be used in crime detection. Another one is for blood transfusion. Variation is helpful in blood transfusion because it helps us know the various types of blood group. Another one is what determination of parenting. If there's an offspring and there's question to who is the maternal or the paternal side, variation can be used in determining who the paternal or the maternal is. Another one in agriculture, it helps in developing better breed. You can select from this and, oh, I want to match make this together, I want to make this together for better breeding. And also it is useful in the classification of human racing. When they say human racing, they can be classifying it according to our skin color, and basically it falls into four groups. We have the caucasoid, we have the negroid, we have the monogoloid, and we have the australoid. We have the australoid lastly. Now for the caucasoid, they are light skin with narrow nose and wavy hair, and this is present in the Europeans. We can see them in the Europeans. Now the other one, which is the negroid, which is also known as negroes, they are the black skin with woolly hair, broad nose, e.g. black Africans. Then we have the monogloid. These are the yellow, brown with straight hair and moderate broad nose, which is always flat. Example are the Chinese and the Japanese. Then the last one, which is the Australian, they are the brown skin and they always have coily hair and moderately broad nose, and these are the Australians. Those are the four classes based on skin color. Now, variation is also helpful in determination of parenting, like I said earlier, through the knowledge of blood group. In conclusion to the aspect of variation, we'll be looking at the difference between the two types of variation, which is the morphological variation and physiological variation, also known as continuous and discontinuous variation. For the first one, it is caused by codominance, that's under continuous variation, it is caused by codominance, while discontinuous variation is caused by complex dominance. Also, intermediates are present in continuous variation, then there is no intermediate present in discontinuous variation. Then lastly, on in the difference, for the continuous variation, they follow normal distribution, while for the discontinuous variation it is not evenly distributed. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you.